Back to the phones we go. The phone number here, 1-800-282-2882, starting in Edison, New Jersey with David. Hello, sir. Glad you waited, and welcome to the program.
Greetings, Rush. We are fluoro-free, finally.
Thank you, sir. Yes, welcome.
I'm concerned about what's going on in North Korea on a couple of issues. First of all, the nuclear situation where they're not letting us take a look and see what they have.
Yeah.
And second of all, my understanding is they've got some 60,000 troops massed at the border.
Do you not trust Warren Christopher to deal with this situation forcefully and decisively?
No.
Do you not trust President Clinton to know what to do during times of such stress?
Even less. As I said to Mr. Snurley, I wonder if maybe we give them some Toys R Us gift certificates, they'll give us their nukes.
Well, you know, they find out, hey, that's not a bad idea. Let's come out for it on this show. Let's suggest that the way to deal with the nuclear instability and potential threat posed by North Korea is for Toys R Us, as a great patriotic gesture, to offer gift certificates to the North Korean leadership at Toys R Us stores anywhere in America. We'll even pay to fly them over here to shop if they'll get rid of their nukes.
Sounds good to me, but seriously, it sounds, you know, as I say, my understanding is there are 60,000 troops massed on the border to our 20-some thousand.
Yeah.
They could walk in at any time.
I go back to many predictions, and everybody talks about it's the economy stupid, and Clinton ran on the basis that we paid too much attention to foreign policy, and we got to pay more attention to domestic policy and so forth. I just tell you, I've made my prediction that things that happen abroad are going to have a far greater impact on the Clinton presidency than he wants and perhaps knows. And it's risky, too, because here's a guy, formative years of his life, he held the military and the use of force in contempt, and now he's in charge of it. And look at the people he's got in charge of it under it. Warren Christopher. Bobby Ray Inman may not be a bad addition to this. In fact, is somewhat comforting. But he's only one guy. Michael in Albany, New York. Welcome to the Rush Limbaugh program. Hello, sir.
Hi, Rush. Dittos from Albany.
Thank you.
Reading your book last night, and I got to tell you, it should be required reading in every high school in America.
Thank you, sir.
Okay. Now, I do have to point out one objection I have, though.
Yeah.
You talked about the bias-related crime legislation.
Hate crime legislation.
Hate crime
Yes.
legislation was passed down in Texas by Governor Ann Richards.
Yes.
And you pointed out that the Supreme Court opened the floodgates by passing or allowing, said that this hate crime legislation passed constitutional muster.
Yes.
What you didn't point out, Rush, and I think you should have pointed out, is that the Supreme Court is largely made up of conservative appointees.
Well, some things are, I think, are understood. I mean, I was not trying to gloss over the fact
but
that
you always talk about pointing out the truth.
Yes.
Well, the truth is that it is the conservative Supreme Court.
Well, but this conservative Supreme Court does a whole lot of stuff that I don't agree with. I mean, their recent abortion rulings, I think, are wrong.
I agree with you.
Well, okay.
Okay.
So, but I
think you should have pointed that out to your readership.
Well, all right. I didn't point, but I'll tell you what we'll do now. In fact, let me read to you from the book. Let me read me.
Okay.
Are you ready? This is page 231. Quote, Rush Limbaugh, me. I have to disagree with Chief Justice William Rehnquist's opinion on this matter. He wrote that these laws are especially needed because bias crimes are thought to inflict greater individual and societal harm. Its victims suffer distinct emotional harm more damaging than other victims. I beg to differ.
Right.
Victims are victims.
Out, Rush. You didn't point out that Rehnquist was a Nixon appointee.
That doesn't. I'm rectifying it. So it doesn't matter. I mean, it's not relevant. The Supreme Court is the Supreme Court, and when they're wrong, they're wrong. I don't care. Is it not enough that I am taking issue with a Supreme Court largely comprised of people who are thought to be my buddies? Everybody knows it's a conservative court. Still, as won't be for long, but it still is. The fact that I am, like you see, here I am. You people say I'm an ideologue and I'm a one-way street guy. Here I am taking a profound position in disagreement with my buddies, and because I don't point this out specifically, I am being called on the carpet. Look, I understand what you're saying. I don't think this has anything to do with the truth, but let it be said, since the question has been raised, that the Supreme Court decision on bias-related crimes, as articulated by the Chief Justice William Rehnquist, a conservative, appointed by Nixon, a Republican, I disagree with. Thank you. Michael, I'm glad you called. I appreciate your comments about the book. I really do. I'm don't want to be miscast here, and I don't want to be thought. I mean, I'm not trying to sweep anything under the rug. If I were trying to do that, I wouldn't have mentioned that I disagreed with the court. Anyway, quick break. We'll be back with more in just a moment.
You're listening to the EIB Network.
How would you like to save 30 to 50% and be guaranteed the lowest life insurance rates or your money back? Now, with the help of Life Rates of America, you can reach more than 50 top life insurance companies with just one phone call. This is a whole new way to buy life insurance, as featured by Money Magazine. All you do is call 1-800-45-RATES. Answer a few brief questions. Their computers will do your comparison shopping. You'll get the 3 lowest rates in the country within 48 hours by mail, all top-rated A-plus companies. There's no cost for the call. It could save you thousands. Chances are you can greatly reduce your life insurance premiums, too. In fact, if after buying a policy from Life Rates you find a comparable policy with lower premiums, just return it within 10 days and get a full refund guaranteed by the insurance company. Call now. Get a free consumer's guide to life insurance with your 3 lowest rates. Life Rates of America, toll-free, 1-800-45-RATES. 1-800-45-RATES.
Well, it's happening right now till 9 o'clock tonight. The doors are open at Furniture Fair, Bell Fork Road in Jacksonville, 2539 East Ash Street, behind Kmart on Ash Street in Goldsboro, 131 Greenville Boulevard, across from Walmart in Greenville. It's simply a fabulous savings opportunity on new furniture by famous Broyhill, mattress sets by Sealy, Posturepedic, Simmons Beauty Rest, furniture by Lane, by Kincaid, Serta, the Perfect Sleeper. The names go on and on. Have you heard about it? With any furniture purchase of $399 or more, $399 worth, $1,000 worth, $5,000 worth, no down payment, no finance charge, no monthly payment, nothing until next year. It's happening right now till 9 o'clock tonight. Let me repeat it. No down payment, no finance charge, no monthly payment, nothing until 1995. That's incredible. That's Furniture Fair. That's till 9 tonight.
I joined a lunch buffet at Madison's on New Hope Road, but did you know that it's available on Sundays too? And it's even bigger and better. It's the weekday lunch buffet on Sunday, plus steamed shrimp, fried oysters, and more, and it's only $5.99. What a treat! 5 to 7 vegetables and meats, a salad bar and dessert, plus shrimp and oysters. And now that famous Madison Surf and Turf buffet you've heard so much about is available Sundays beginning at 5 p.m. My mouth's watering just telling you about it. You owe it to yourself and your family to dine at Madison's New Hope Road, Goldsboro.
By morning's first light, I see mallards in free flight, just like they've always been for years.
They've been there because we've been there. Ducks Unlimited, leader in wetlands conservation for more than 50 years.
From the right with Rush and the left with Larry, this is 1150 WGBR, Goldsboro.
You know, I've got an idea. I'm going to take this toys for guns or guns for toys idea, and I'm going to expand it to the real world. Instead of exchanging a gun for a bunch of toys, would some of you people be open to the idea of exchanging 40 hours of work for a paycheck? I know it's a foreign concept to many in this country, but 40 hours of work for a paycheck. How about that? A simple little notion that has proved worthwhile throughout the ages. And yet there seem to be an increasing number of people who seem to think that, well, that's not really, it's not fair. Demand that of me. It's not right. That's right. Yeah, only 40, HR. People who work for me, 40 hours is a vacation. But you love it, don't you? Debbie in Manchester, New Hampshire. Hi, welcome to the program. I'm glad you called.
Thank you. A resounding ditto from Manchester, New Hampshire.
Thanks a bunch.
I also own both your books, and I've just subscribed to your newsletter.
Oh,
so
great.
Keep up the good work.
Thank you very much.
I'm concerned with the Clinton attempt to not release their records on time.
Yes.
I'm concerned.
You're talking about White Watergate now.
The White Watergate,
yeah,
right?
Yeah.
If I were to do that, I'd be subpoenaed left to right.
Let me tell you, there are so many aspects of this that have not yet come to, well, they've come to light. I just don't know how much they've been reported. But, for example, the Clintons claimed in this whole financial dealing that took place with their friend James McDougal, they claim it in 1984 and 85 they lost something like $69,000. Yet, they didn't report that on any tax return. Now, if I lose 69 grand, it's the first thing I find. I go to the tax reform. Where do I report my losses? It's the first thing I do. They didn't report the losses. They also took some interest deductions, totally not much money, $5,000, that were not entitled to them. They were entitled to the savings loan. Savings loan should have taken them. There are all kinds of things here like that are causing people to look at the report that's come out. There are a lot of gaps in this thing.
Right. Well, what do you think is going to happen? Do you think they're going to beat the statute of limitations, or do you think they're...
This is a toughie. I don't know what's going to happen. I know there's still a lot of pressure. Dole, a number of Republicans are pressuring Janet Reno to go ahead and name a special prosecutor. And she can do that, by the way. Even though the special prosecutor law has perspired, she could go ahead and name one anyway. And yesterday, maybe it's today, I can't remember which, the New York Times actually in an editorial called for one. New York Times called for a special prosecutor, independent counsel on this. Yes, they did. Their lead editorial. Be still my beating heart. I saw that. I think that when the president is not answering questions, this is the worst thing he can do with his buddies in the press. He's not answering questions about this. I've said all I have to say. And here's another thing. The story comes out last week about the troopers. Fornegate. All right? New York Times does not carry one bit of the story the day it hit, but the next day on the front page, they carry Hillary's denial. Now, if all you read is the New York Times, here's Hillary denying something that you don't even know about, because the New York Times didn't report it. Well, she gave the whole story legs, gave it a little lifespan of its own by denying it. And I think by not answering questions and dealing with it this way, they're just only going to heighten curiosity. And look, when people figure out what I just did, they got rid of those files in a matter of 2 hours, and it's going to take them 2 weeks to release them. Something isn't right.
Save big on your choice of new vehicles at Leaf Chrysler Plymouth Jeep Eagle Dodge Isuzu. Save on 94 Jeep Cherokees and the 94 Jeep Wrangler 4x4. The 1994 Chrysler Concorde is only $22,782. And save now on the new 94 Dodge Shadow. And for the truck lovers, see the new Dodge Dakota Sport. Also save on minivans and caravans at Leaf Chrysler Plymouth Jeep Eagle Dodge Isuzu, Highway 70 West, Goldsboro. All payments based on 20% down, all prices plus tax, tags, and $138 Dodge fee.
My father used to pat me on the back.
My father never touched me.
My father bought me a bicycle one Christmas.
My father gave me a carton of cigarettes.
My father wanted my opinions, even when they weren't like his.
My father told me I was too young to know.
Years later, my dad said, "You're doing a radio spot." Great.
My father said, "A radio spot? What could you possibly know about dysfunctional families?"
Which one of these is your child? From people who think a father makes a real difference. The Mennonite churches.
WGBR Goldsboro's very own.
From ABC News, I'm Gary Nunn. This is the audio equivalent of a skull and crossbones.
Suppose my voice were HIV and you could get infected by listening. Oh, you wouldn't listen. You don't want to hear that, huh? You changed your station. But if I took a latex condom like this one and put it on the microphone, you couldn't hear me, right? You were protected from HIV.
If you don't heed this advice, you may not live very long. The Clinton administration's hoping this is not just another public service announcement, launching what's intended to be a new, hipper campaign to get people to use latex condoms when they have sex. Health Secretary Donna Shalala.
Young adults need to know that the surest way to prevent AIDS is to refrain from having sex. But we also need to be realistic. By age 20, 86% of young men and 77% of young women report having intercourse, according to the CDC.
Shalala says the broadcast networks, plus some cable companies, have agreed to run the public service announcements. AIDS is the third biggest killer of people 25 to 44. No change in the price of mailing a first-class letter. The Postal Service Board of Governors wrapping up 2 days of meetings without recommending a rate increase. Big discounts by the big airlines. The major carriers are going along, with Northwest offering up to 45% off advance purchase tickets. One example, a New York-San Francisco round trip that usually costs $659 would be $358 with certain restrictions. NCR says about 2,400 workers have accepted an early retirement offer made to about 5,500 of its employees to the United States. Response slightly exceeding expectations at NCR, the computer division of AT&T. A man who agreed to father a child for a woman has been ordered by an appeals court in Indianapolis to pay $100,000 in child support despite the woman's written promise not to seek any money at all from him. The Indiana appeals court says that Francine Todd has no right to sign away her daughter's right to financial support from her father. You're listening to ABC News.
What are your New Year's resolutions?
Lose 10 pounds, run a marathon, plan my retirement, start an herb garden, and learn Spanish.
That's a lot of work.
Piece of cake. I sent for National Dynamic Speed tapes and their free cassette player. Listen to the tapes for 20 minutes a day. In a month, you'll speak and understand Spanish, French, German, Italian, or Japanese.
What about your other resolutions?
Well, I'll get to them later.
Start 1994 off right. Call National Dynamics at 1-800-545-1985 today.
Did I mention paint the house?
1-800-545-1985.
You know when your throat's so sore, it feels like you swallowed a couple of porcupine quills? You need medicine, not those candy cough drops. You need Cepacol lozenges. But what if your throat feels like you swallowed a couple porcupine quills? A couple more porcupine quills? And then darned if you didn't just swallow the whole porcupine. Then you need really strong medicine. You need Cepastat lozenges. Cepacol for sore throats, Cepastat for really sore throats. Use only as directed.
1993 was a record-breaking year for Hollywood in terms of box office receipts, not overall attendance, reports ABC's Bill Deal.
We've made living biological attractions so astounding that they'll capture the imagination of the entire planet.
Jurassic Park captured the imagination of millions, but even with a box office champ like that, Hollywood can't seem to get more people to go to the movies. Movie attendance has remained virtually unchanged for the past 30 years, and both film goers and studio executives say higher ticket prices are keeping people at home. Many first-run theaters now charge $7.50. Some moviegoers, however, say they'll keep going out to the movies. They like the big screen, but they also say they're becoming more selective. Bill Deal, ABC News, New York. At the movies, filmgoers are partial to Mrs. Doubtfire this week, which sold $16 1/3 million worth of tickets. The Pelican Brief is second. Tombstone is third. A judge in Mineola, New York says Colin Ferguson, the man accused of killing a half-dozen people on a Long Island commuter train a month ago, is mentally competent to stand trial. Ferguson's lawyer is demanding a new psychiatric test. Wall Street right now, the Dow Jones Industrials are up 13.23 at 3769.55. Volume 180,440,000 shares. Trading is heavy. This is ABC News.
Contact Coal Patrol, ma'am. We hear your husband's taking a sick day.
His cold's too bad to go to work.
I'll be the judge of this.
I have pain and fever, too.
Try this. It's all new Contact Non-Drowsy Severe Cold and Flu.
But cold pills can make him too drowsy to drive.
Listen to the name again, ma'am. Contact Non-Drowsy Severe Cold and Flu.
Hey, now I can go to work.
New Non-Drowsy Contact helps turn sick days into work days.
Use as directed.
For the ABC Information Network, I'm Yari Nunn.
Well, the bulk of the big winter storm is behind us now, but some lingering effects of the system will stick around at least into this evening. In our forecast for this afternoon, mostly cloudy skies. It'll be quite windy with a few sprinkles changing over to flurries. We'll look for afternoon temperatures ranging 38 to 45. Then tonight, a stray flurry or two possible, otherwise clearing and cold, lows dropping to 25 to 30. And for Wednesday, partly cloudy with light winds and highs ranging 40 to 45. At the Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Mike Moss.
Join in on the WGBR Krispy Kreme Coffee Break. Get hot coffee and delicious Krispy Kreme donuts delivered to your office or place of business free Monday mornings at 10:30. Just send a letter, postcard, or fax to WGBR Coffee Break, P.O. Box 207, Goldsboro, North Carolina 27533. Or fax us at 736-3876. When you win, we'll give your entire staff a great Krispy Kreme coffee and donut Monday morning coffee break. For more information, call us at 736-1150.
Expressed by the host on this show are sweeping America and the world. Today we had Denver and KOA, one of America's great radio stations, the Armed Services Radio Network. We added yesterday, we are on shortwave around the world. 15.420 megahertz on the EIB World Service and 636 commercial broadcast outlets in the United States and Guam. We are America.
This is a special edition of the Rush Limbaugh program, America Held Hostage. And now from our studios in New York City, here is Rush Limbaugh.
We are counting the days of the raw deal. It's what we have dubbed the Clinton presidency. It is a hostage crisis with all of America in its clutches. And just as Nightline was there every night during the Iranian hostage crisis, so shall I be here each day during this hostage crisis. Today is day 350 for the poor and the middle class. Day 369 of the raw deal for the rich and the dead. That's because of raw deal retroactivity. 1,110 days left. We're counting them one day at a time for the last time. The phone number here is 1-800-282-2882. Okay, New York Post, special report today. Welfare benefits, the real cost. Summing it up, aid to a mother and two children on AFDC totals $26,940 a year. A mother and two kids on AFDC. Here's how it adds up. The AFDC Aid to Families with Dependent Children program would net the family $6,924. Food stamps, $2,556. The breakfast and lunch program, $547. WIC, which is a special supplemental food program for women, infants, and children, $986 a year. Medicaid, $4,952 a year. Housing. Federal and state government provides free housing, subsidies, and grants for low-income persons totaling $5,450 $653 a year. HEAP, which is the Home Energy Assistance Program, could add up to a whopping $75 a year. Transportation can total $900 a year. And Head Start, Federal Child Development Program for 3- and 4-year-old crumb crunchers, $4,347 a year. The total yearly benefits are $26,940 for a mother and 2 children on AFDC. Now, I have just been informed that one of our broadcast engineers, Kiki de la Garza, has resigned after hearing these figures and is going to soon apply for AFDC. Well, you know, you can laugh about it, but this is exactly the point. Now, I want to go through this. I want you to follow me on this. I told you so earlier, well, last year. I was going to say earlier this year, but last year I told you so that poverty figures are phony baloney. Plastic banana, good time, rock and roll. They're irrelevant. When they release these numbers, 10% of the American population is in poverty and it's rising. And people go, oh no, America's so terrible, we're so heartless, we're so cruel, we're so mean. And they agree to have their taxes raised and everything else. The high rate of poverty in the United States is nothing more than a statistical trick, a dirty, little, liberal secret. And today it's finally out, a year after I lectured you on this very subject. What's the point? What do you think that I am trying to do by telling you all this? Am I cruel-hearted? Am I evil? Am I insensitive? Am I a racist? That's, of course, what all the accusations would be. Why, Rush, come on, $26,000. These people are... How can you criticize these people? Rush, what do you mean? No, ladies and gentlemen, I am simply one engaged in the relentless pursuit of the truth. And there are 2 important truths to be elicited from these figures. Despite the $26,940 in transfer payments. And by the way, let me put this in perspective for you. The Great Society, Lyndon Baines Johnson, 1964. From 64 to now, there have been over $3 trillion transferred from the producers to the non-producers in this country. Maybe good-intentioned, well-intentioned, but the whole point was to end poverty and rid these people of the bondage in which they live, and all it's done is perpetuate it, and in fact, it has made it worse to $3 trillion. Despite the $26,940 in yearly transfer payments, this person, this mother, with 2 children on AFDC is still considered to be living in poverty, according to liberal statistics. Why? Because the $26,940 doesn't count. They don't count it as income. It's welfare money, not earned money. To get off the poverty roll, this woman would have to earn a salary over $14,000. But if she doesn't earn over $26,940, why should she try to earn over $14,000? Second truth. We conservatives are told all the time that we are insensitive, that we are heartless, that we are cruel, that we are evil, that we are racist, that we are insensitive. We are told that we don't care about the unfortunate, the less fortunate in our society, in our country. And we are told that President Reagan took away the safety net. We are told that all of these monies were cut. The housing budget was cut. That's why we have homelessness. I'm sure you've heard that. We got rid of the food stamps in the great numbers. We cut all of the spending on all of these items. $26,400 or $940. And we're told we're selfish. And we're told that we're not paying our fair share. We're told that we are guilty. We're told that we benefited unfairly, those of us who worked very hard. In fact, many people who worked hard in the 80s did not do all that well. Some have worked very hard in the 80s and it paid off in the 90s, and still they've got to be gotten even with for what they did in the 80s. We're guilty, my friends. And guilty of what? Not only are we forced to feel guilty, but the recipients of our generosity, which is what this is, for these people who don't work to get $27,000 a year in welfare is a very generous society I live in. And I'm paying for it, and you are paying for it, and it's not solving the problem. And we are made to feel guilty because we aren't paying enough. We are not doing enough. Furthermore, to compound this, the recipients of our generosity are then taught to be resentful. They are taught to resent America. They are taught to resent the horrible situation in which they find themselves. And they only find themselves in that situation not because of any responsibility they may have to themselves or for themselves, but because America is predisposed to not like them, to be mean to them, to have no respect for them. Why aren't inner city kids taught how generous and caring we are? How come the recipients of this largesse are not told just how much the producers in this society do care? How come the recipients of this are not made to thank us every day for $3 trillion? Why instead are they taught to resent us? Why are they taught to resent and dislike and distrust the country, which has found a way to transfer $26,000 plus a year to them for doing absolutely nothing other than get pregnant? If you can come to grips with this, if you can understand all of this, then you'll understand how liberals get reelected. And you will understand how racial hustlers exist, and how our journalists get high marks for caring. The people doing the real caring, the people who are doing the paying, only want to see some results. When you make an investment, you want it to pay off. If all of this money is being taken from us and transferred to others on the basis of improving the lives of these people, and therefore enhancing the overall productivity, decency, and goodness of our country, then why is it, ladies and gentlemen, that we are resented? Why isn't it working? And why do the recipients feel such hatred? It is my contention that this situation may be, and I will allow that it was begun with good intentions. The simple fact of the matter is that the real caring and the real sacrifice has been on the part of those who have willingly, albeit under great pressure, allowed so much a portion of their productivity to be transferred to others. And yet those who run around and say, I care, I love, I have compassion, get all the credit for it. And the people who have invested and see no results and complain about it are told that they are heartless and cruel. If you understand all this, you'll understand why liberals are the way they are, how they stay who they are. You will also understand the importance of me, your host, in pointing all of this out to you. And in fact, I doubt that I'm really pointing anything out to you. I'm simply echoing what you have been saying to yourselves for the longest time. Is there anything wrong with demanding some results? Is there anything wrong with demanding that the investment in all of this pay off? After $3 trillion of all this, is it not reasonable to assume it's not working? Now, there are a lot of people out there talking about welfare reform, and a lot of people talking about it doing nothing. One of them is President Clinton. He had his holiday wish list or his New Year's resolutions, not one word on there about welfare reform. He's talking it He's not going to do anything about it. Some governors, Tommy Thompson, John Engler, are doing it. I think this is an astounding figure, $26,000, and keep in mind that these people are considered to be living in poverty because all of that you and I have transferred to them is not counted as though they have it. We'll take a break and be back. Your phone calls resume after this.
You're listening to the EIB Network.
Let's face it, the number of you people out there sat around lazy, unwilling to take that bold step yourself, and instead were waiting for a subscription to my newsletter to be given to you. Very un-American to sit around and wait for things to be given to you. My friends, you want something, you go out there and get it. So if you didn't get the Limbaugh letter as a holiday present, cheer up. You can still order my newsletter, the Limbaugh letter, 12 pages, packed with my brilliant commentary, searing analysis, humor, and good cheer for only $29.95. What do you get? What does it matter? I do it, and if I'm doing it, you know it's good. Don't worry about the details, because they change every month. I can just tell you this, there are great pictures of me, great interviews. There's nothing like me, and there's nothing like this. You can also get free my official 1994 Rush Limbaugh poster calendar if you subscribe now, but don't wait, do it for yourself. 12 issues, $29.95. Here's the number, 800-457-4141. Just make the call.
Do you know there are only 44 sounds in the English language? 44. And when you learn these 44 sounds called phonics, you can read and spell almost everything. That's why Hooked on Phonics is so successful. We've set these 44 sounds to music, making learning to read simple and fun. So get hooked on phonics and take the mystery out of learning to read. Call 1-800-ABCDEFG.
Hi, Tom Bodette from Motel 6, pondering the great mysteries of science. Well, no, I'm not going to synthetically replicate DNA molecules or anything like that. Just trying to figure out why some places charge you 75 cents to make a local phone call. To me, that's something science may never figure out. After all, the only thing you're doing is making a phone call. It's not like you're trying to communicate with alien beings or something. Plus, of course, you call that uncle of yours nobody likes to talk about. Well, the point is, a plain old local phone call ought to be free as air. And at Motel 6, they are. And we won't saddle you with motel service charges on the long-distance calls either. All you pay at Motel 6 is one low price for a clean, comfortable room and a good night's sleep to go along with it. No big science mystery there. Well, I'm Tom Bodette for Motel 6, and we'll leave the photon-generating electrically agitated filament device on for you. That's a light bulb.
What is nerve deafness? And how do I know if I have it?
Do hearing aids really work? Can they help me? Every day, folks from across the country come to Miracle Ear with questions about hearing loss and hearing aids. Of course, hearing aids can't help everyone or restore natural hearing, and your experiences may vary. That's why it's so important to get the facts. Just call this toll-free number, 1-800-572-2400, for Miracle Ear's free informative booklet.
Can I wear hearing aids without everyone knowing it?
I think my dad has a hearing problem. What should I do?
Miracle Ear's booklet is called Straight Talk About Hearing Loss, and that's exactly what you'll get at no charge or obligation. Call now, 1-800-572-2400. Our operators are standing by. That's 1-800-572-2400. Don't delay. Get the straight talk you want from Miracle Ear. The number again, 1-800-572-2400.
Defending the institutions that make America great, monogamy, business, children, love, military, tax-free municipal bonds, and me. Rush Limbaugh on your side, West Bloomfield, Michigan. This is Cecilia. Welcome to the program.
Hello.
Hi.
Ditto.
Thank you very much, my dear.
I've gone back to school, and I've never this past semester.
How old are you?
Pardon me?
Now, wait a minute. Didn't mean that in the way. You said you've gone back to school.
Correct.
And now
After many years.
Your mother?
I am a grandmother. I just became a grandmother for the 6th time.
No kidding, graduate. So you've gone back to school late in life.
Yes.
Well, I know somebody that's done that.
It's exciting.
She's terrific too. So you're I think you're following a very, very good path. What are you getting a major, or are you just going back for general?
I'm a freshman.
You're a freshman?
I'm a freshman.
What's the institution of higher learning you were attending?
I'm just going to Oakland Community College, a junior college down the street.
Yeah.
And I just decided that it was time to go back.
Yeah.
And I took 3 courses, English, Spanish, and poli-sci. And
sounds like you're getting ready to enjoy the fruits of NAFTA.
It was, yeah. I sort of going into that field, sort of. I'm going into journalism, I think. And I took this poli-sci course.
Hold it. For those of you in Rio Linda, poli-sci is not a new material that would fit as maybe a hood ornament or something. It is political science. Political science. You took a political science course. Let me guess. You go in there, you mention my name, the professor is threatening to flunk you.
No, he can't stand you. I mean, he cannot stand you, but he did allow me to be conservative.
Oh,
he never marked me down.
How big of him. He allowed you to be conservative in his class.
Yes, he never marked me down. I got a B+, in fact.
Well, that's good.
So, but he could not stand you.
Well, how did my name come up in the class?
Well, it came up the very first day in class.
Did you bring it up?
No. Oh, no, he did. He brought up right off the bat. He brought up Pat Buchanan.
Yeah.
And in fact, the very first class was on liberals and on conservatives.
Yes.
And it was on being equal.
Yes.
And also the class, he would bring up this equal. And to me, this equal stuff that in his class, the way he used it, it is literally a word that they use to get through what they want, because there's no such thing as being equal. I mean, if you really think about it.
Oh, no, I agree with you. It's a totally flawed premise. Equality is not possible.
No. And they use this in the economic situation. And he used this all through the class. And on the day before our finals, I couldn't take it any longer. I mean, I just couldn't take it.
So what did you do?
I threw you up.
You what?
I threw you up. I used your words. He always said how he couldn't stand you. So right after he said that, I raised my hand because I had this gobbledygook about equal economy and stuff.
Yes.
And I just couldn't take it any longer.
So what did you say?
I said your exact words. I said, well, when is it when a poor person has ever given you a job? When has a poor person ever employed anybody? I used your exact words. Then he came back with, well, when the poor person goes and receives his welfare check, he goes to the market and he employs that person.
Oh, no, you can't possibly mean it.
Yes, he said
You mean that the people who work in stores are being propped up by the welfare recipient spending his money.
Right. Exactly.
And this is probably a very typical political science professor in America today.
Well, then I came back with your words again.
Which were?
The poor doesn't buy build colleges. The poor do not, because all through the class, he kept on saying how the rich were gaining from the people, and they kept on living off the people, so to speak. because they had the wealth.
This guy's a socialist.
Oh, he is. He comes out and says so.
As a socialist, pure and pure.
It was interesting to listen to Walter Williams and Thomas Sowell, because Thomas Sowell had a great effect on my life, in fact. But talking about the things that they were talking about, I could have just said so much. But anyway, I finally came back and said, well, they build, the hospitals and they build the libraries, and he kept on trying to tell me the government does. And then I came back with, and then finally he had to succumb to the fact that, the government builds the roads to these factories and places. And I said, government has its place.
Oh, give me a break. Name for me one concrete company owned by the government. Now, this is. Look, he is an obvious socialist, which he proudly admits. What's amazing is that everywhere around the world, socialism is an acknowledged failure. It is an abysmal, acknowledged failure, and yet, I had somebody ask me on vacation last week, in fact, it was at St. Martin, and I was standing outside a store there, and people began to recognize me and came up and started talking, and this one guy says, Rush, do you ever think we'll get rid of liberals? And I said, no. I don't think we'll ever get rid of liberals. I think we can defeat liberalism as a dominant ideology, but we wouldn't want to get rid of liberals, just like we wouldn't want to get rid of socialists. We wouldn't want to get rid of all communists. You want to keep examples of this around so we never forget what kind of people these are. You need to make museum pieces out of liberals and socialists. You need to have at least two socialists or communists on every college campus teaching the course, so that people never, ever forget just who these people are and what they stand for. We'll be back after this.
If you're depending on plain old gas line antifreeze to get started this winter, that's okay. But if you look further down the road, use STP gas treatment. Regular use helps prevent gas line freeze and helps keep your entire fuel system clean, responsive, dependable. After all, why get started when the dirty fuel system could make the road ahead? Raw STP gas treatment. Drive a better car. This is WGBR News, Goldsboro's very own.
This is Wayne Alley. The Wayne County Board of Education was told last night by Superintendent Search Committee Chairman Shirley Sims Stewart that the committee has interviewed 5 applicants and is ahead of schedule. The committee hopes to meet its deadline for introducing 6 finalists to the community by Easter, but Mrs. Sims Stewart said she does not know whether the committee will stick to its plan to introduce 6 finalists.
Informal interviews were held with 5 applicants. It is the